So the first person I'm going to introduce is Lora Nastase. She is running for Sahuarita Town Council. So Lora, could you tell us about yourself and what you intend to do?
Well, good morning. Thank you, Paul. I'm Lora Nastase, and I am a 17-year permanent resident of Sahuarita. My husband and family moved from Nebraska to Arizona about 20 years ago, and it was the military that brought us here. So we came right after Christmas and have been enjoying the nice tropical winters in Arizona ever since. I've been a stay-at-home mom raising kids for all these years, and very soon after we moved to Arizona, I became involved in volunteering for the schools and the classrooms, for our church and different organizations around town. And I do that for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is, I want to make the kind of community and town that I want my kids to grow in, one that is sort of like the dream that I would have had to grow up in when I was a little kid. And so being involved is a way to affect those kinds of changes. And as my kids have gotten older, my involvement in organizations has also grown. So I have been involved in political organizations. I've been served on boards in our community. Currently on the board, a Citizens Accountability Board for the Regional Transit Authority. And I see, as I serve on all of these different, on different boards, but also with different community members, a real need for someone to be representing all of the different communities of our town. Sahuarita is made up of some really nice, beautiful neighborhood communities. There's Quail Creek, there's Rancho Sahuarita, there's Madeira Highlands, but there's also the main parts of the town that were here for many, many years before Sahuarita was incorporated. Additionally, we have our Green Valley community that, although is not officially part of Sahuarita, it's part of our community. We work together, we worship together, we socialize together, and so even though Green Valley is not specifically in the town boundaries of Sahuarita, Green Valley residents need to be represented also, especially as we move forward with things like the roads and different entertainment opportunities that we want to bring to Sahuarita. So those are some of the reasons I've decided to run. I did run in 2018, and Green Valley Democrats were great supporters of myself, and I remember coming and speaking to you before, so I appreciate that past support and current support. One of the things that I think is important in every level of government, every level of elected service, is accountability and showing up, being there to the people who elect you. And I have not seen that accountability on our Sahuarita Town Council from all of the members. It's a seven board council, and all seven are elected by the people. They're on staggered election schedules. So currently there are 3 incumbents that are running, and I'm running as a challenger. Once the election is over, the council gets together in an executive session, and it is not open to the public, but amongst the 7, they choose who the mayor will be. And the mayor serves at their pleasure. And so that's an interesting way to run, a town. We have a mayor who is accountable. I do see him out and about and talking with people. And even though I don't always agree with the decisions that he makes, I do see that he gets information from a variety of sources and isn't just in a little bubble of maybe his church or work influences. We have another councilwoman who's just newly been on the board for 2 years, Debbie Morales, who's a dear friend of mine. I'm running alongside her. I see her doing that also, being accountable, being an elected official who's in action and doing things for our town. Um, I'm not seeing that from the other council members, and that's why I want to be part of the council. I will be there. I will attend events that are not just, a town council meeting and expect people to come to us with issues or questions or observations about the town. I want to represent all facets of our town and even the folks that are in Green Valley as well.
Anything else you want to add about what you intend to do for the town?
Sure. One of the things that along in my mind about this one community platform that I have is that we have all of these different communities, like I mentioned before, Quail Creek, Rancho Sahuarita, Madeira Highlands, and they're made of a variety of unique people with different backgrounds and ages and interests. And one way to make a cohesive community is to find ways to connect these multiple generations through recreation, health, sports, play. And so I am working with a group of people, just residents, longtime residents, new residents, just a variety of people who are, we are creating a 501c3 to encourage the town to build a enclosed recreation center with a town pool that would be open to all of the residents of the town. And part of the 501c3's mission would be to raise money to make swimming lessons at this pool free for every child. We like to prevent drownings that way. And so looking at what the recreation, our Parks and Rec team is amazing. We have a new director. They're doing all kinds of exciting things. But my goal is to encourage and support from both inside the council and outside the council, support a recreation center that can be used by everybody. And in addition to the swimming pool, an enclosed place where we could have recreation for all 4 seasons of the year that we enjoy here in Arizona, right? And I joke because we have hotter and hottest. But rooms where we could teach knitting, where maybe we would have volunteers come in and teach little kids how to crochet or sew, or we could have classes on computers where we would have our teens teaching, people like me how to get on my computer. I had an issue with that today. Ways for us to connect intergenerationally is good for our community because it creates relationships, it creates trust, and it creates respect. And those things, having those be the foundation of our town, I see would help alleviate problems that we sometimes see in a city that's growing like ours. Anyway, are there any questions?
Okay, Laura, I have a question for you before someone else jumps in. My question is, what's the population of Sahuarita? And I know it's expanding because you see the building going on the north side of it and south side.
That's a good question. The population is disputed because of the 2020 census. There was because we ended it short, it was cut short. There's a lot of speculation that much of Sahuarita was not counted in the census. And I've heard like 30,000 was the last that I heard, but I've also heard that they think they're higher. So.
Nice to see you, Laura. We have had occasion to have rallies or on the street discussions in Sahuarita. Particularly, we did it a couple of years ago with respect to the Save Our Schools. my experience has never been that there's a problem with the Sahuarita police. I'm concerned about the new state law that has that there must be 8 feet between any taping of police and what that means, I think, for First Amendment issues. But and I don't know what coordination that you guys would have with respect to Sahuarita police, but I wonder what your position is on that particular law, and if there could be dialogue with the Sahuarita police before it becomes an issue. Thank you.
Maureen, that's a really good question. Well, first of all, I do agree that it's a First Amendment issue, and I'm curious. I'm curious to see that being challenged. I'm surprised it hasn't been challenged yet. I feel that perhaps there's not been. I think maybe police departments are not enforcing that right now. I haven't seen any issues in Arizona so far. In Sahuarita, I think that our police chief seems to be willing to engage with the public when there are questions. He does serve at the way that the power structure is, for lack of a better term, for the Sahuarita Town Council. The Town Council has 3 people that they are over. So the town manager is a contract employee that the council manages, the police chief, and also the judge for the town. And so whenever there has been an issue, I've seen him at meetings, responding and addressing very quickly questions from the public and questions from the council. So I definitely think that talking to him, a conversation is a really good idea before there is an issue in Sahuarita. Recently, there's been some issues. We have seen it in the Green Valley News with panhandlers that are down by the Sprouts off Duval Mine Road. And the chief came to a town council meeting to address the legality of, forcing panhandlers who they were playing music and asking for money. And I was impressed with the way that he addressed their managing of the situation. It was compassionate, it was reasonable, and it also honored the First Amendment rights of those panhandlers to ask for money. So there are other issues that I question about the police department, more like exit interviews when people leave, because we've had a huge turnover. I'm not sure about that. I'd like to know more about it. But as far as the issue you're asking, I think that he would be someone that would be interested in that dialogue.
Yeah, Laura, we'll have 2 more questions for you.
Okay, I have a question. I heard at the pool this week that Sahuarita is planning to open a wildlife park. And I wanted to know if that is true and how big it was going to be and what kind of wildlife they intend on having there and things like that. Because we are in the desert and we have to be very careful with the water and the creatures that, we have mountain lions that are, going crazy looking for water right now. And to have a wildlife park, which to me just sounds like something else to take up a lot of water, and I don't know, maybe they're thinking of making big profits from it. I'm not sure. So I wanted to know what part of that was true.
They had proposed potentially having like a zoo, a safari exhibition sort of place for exotic animals whose habitat would be near what ours is here. And the proposed area isn't exactly in Sahuarita. It's a little bit north of Pima Mine Road, and that's the boundary, the northern boundary of Sahuarita right now. So it's a little bit north of that and east of Old Nogales Highway. It's behind the cement plant on this map that is being shown right now. It would be up north of that. It would be sort of outside the boundaries of Sahuarita, no, more on the other side, straight to the top of the map, but right in there. as far as the water usage, I believe that there was some environmental, piece to it as well. It was a collaboration of a bunch of different groups. And so from my perspective, I see it as a really great potential piece where they could, study the habitat in these animals and help other like a wildlife preserves, figure out how to keep them alive in a place where, it's very arid, that we have a drought, but also it can be an exhibit that would bring more, travelers down, more financial, it would be a financial boon for us as far as people coming in and working, living, visiting here. It's just a proposal. It's in its very, very early stages. There has been one presentation done to the town council, and there have been town council members who are like talking about, oh, the Sahuarita petting zoo we're having. And it's still like in a very, very preliminary stages that I feel like it's also very premature to talk about that it's coming.
Okay, Lora, it's very interesting. It said that also there's an article in Community Quarterly about the collaboration for the Wildlife Zoo. Now, we have time for one more question because we have to move on. So Senator Rosanna Gabaldon has a question. So if you could answer that, whatever questions you have.
So I just wanted to make a couple of comments and then a very quick question. Thank you, Paul, for your patience. Lora, I know how much you have given back to the community, how much you have really volunteered. You and I have worked together. So I guess my question to you is once elected, and you will be elected, is that what is the first thing you want to do? And I know you had commented a few things in your beginning comments, but I just want to hear what, going in there, what is the one thing, if you were to say this is a success, what would you want to accomplish as our next Sahuarita Town Council member?
That's a really, really great question. And I'm the first thing that comes to mind, I'm sure later I'll hit myself over the head and think, oh, there's something else. But the first thing I want to do is meet with all of the organizations around the town, not just the political organizations, but the Sahuarita Food Bank, other groups that are doing things around the town to see how we can maybe collaborate more and reach out more and see what their needs are. I feel that when I look back, that I would think that my term was successful if people felt they were represented by me and they felt connected to the town hall and they felt connected to being, to call if they need something or to come in and visit or whatever. So that's what comes to mind.
Okay.
Just very quickly, Paul, thank you, Lora, it's unfortunate that none, except for maybe Mayor Murphy, have ever reached out to their state legislators, and I look forward to working with you side by side. Appreciate it. Thanks, Paul.
Well, thank you for asking the questions, for being here too. That's great. Lora, we might get back to you at the end if we have extra questions, but we want to give everybody a chance now. So if we could get Mike Norman ready to go. Mike, are you there?
Yes, I'm still here.
I'm going to introduce you very quickly just by saying Mike Norman is going to be running for the Continental School Board. So tell us something about your background and what you intend to do and why are you doing this? All right.
Well, I'd like to take 15 minutes. I understand I have that.
Yes.
I'd like to cover the position because it's a little bit different than the others. But my background is why I'm doing it and my goals. And I'm going to go quickly. So there's some time for questions. First, the position. It's the position, it's for the Continental School Board, which is an elementary and middle school that services this area. There's about 650 students. It's a campus. It's just south of La Posada, heading out toward Madera Canyon. And it's a beautiful facility. It's about 5 or 6 buildings, athletics, and they have a cafeteria. It's very nice. This position is nonpartisan. I'm being endorsed by the Democratic Party, but I'm not running as a Democrat. That's very important. I get no funding from the state or anywhere else. There's no pay. The job basically involves 4 to 8 hours a month doing administrative work and setting policy, providing oversight and direction for the school. So it's not a glamorous job. And there are 6 other individuals running. There's not a primary. You just need to get so many signatures, in this case about 150 or something, which I did. And then you will be on the ballot, and there'll be statements coming out about who we are and what our policies are. From what I can tell, the other people running, I don't know much about them, but they seem like good people, all of them. There's 2 openings. The board is 5 people. So that's kind of what the position is. Now, my background, just a little bit. I was born in Midwesterner. I was born in Des Moines. I'm married to Lois. I have 1 son and 3 grandchildren. I've lived in Arizona for the last 20 years. I moved from Sedona to Green Valley about 3 years ago. I retired about 6 years ago. I was employed as a computer scientist, project manager, and a senior manager at IBM, State of Arizona, and American Express. I also served as an adjunct professor, which I really enjoyed doing, by the way, part-time for about 8 years at ASU. I taught graduate seminars in the MBA and MPA programs. I've also done some sub-teaching too, which has been interesting. Some of it I love, some of it I hated. That's another story. I earned a bachelor's degree from the University of Wisconsin, political science and philosophy, pre-law. And I got a master. I was lucky to get a master's degree mid-career at Harvard Kennedy School with some studies at MIT. I served in the Army National Guard, so I'm a veteran. I was activated several times. I was trained as a medic and worked as a hospital nurse, was also a platoon sergeant. So that's kind of my background. Now, given my background and that I was happy in retirement, why did I do this? I grew up in poverty. I grew up raised by my grandmother in a welfare agency. And there weren't a lot of opportunities or dreams for me and my neighborhood, and my friends. Public education changed my life in many, many ways. I had several great teachers that helped me and helped me understand there was a much greater potential. I've worked as an educator, as a teacher, as a professor, and I love learning. I really want to support our public schools and to support teachers and to help each student. What I see the state of Arizona has done to public schools is nothing short of shameful. It's a disgrace. We are ranked by most objective agencies that I can find somewhere between 45th and 48th in the nation in terms of teacher pay, in terms of money spent on with our pupils. And now they're talking about 100% vouchers, which is going to encourage everyone else to leave and to move into private schools. What is going on? And the other thing is the MAGA Republicans have attacked public schools recently in this county and in this state. The critical race theory has begun to come in and affect this Continental school as well as other. They're talking censorship. They're encouraging parents to turn on teachers. And I see stories where some school board members are quitting and they won't run because they're being intimidated. They have to have sheriffs and police at their meetings. And I just said, that's enough. So that's why I'm doing it. I have 3 general goals. One, and the most important one, is to protect the school from political radicalism, divisive culture wars, and misinformation. There's a quote by Margaret Mead that I think is really good. She said, children must be taught how to think, not what to think. There's no place in public education for conspiracy theories and cultural bias and politics. The second major objective is to improve the school's state annual comparative assessments and the results. I was kind of stunned to find that we are the school, and they're wonderful people. I've been there, I visited, wonderful, but they need help. They are approximately 5% below average. And for a state whose average is around 48% in the nation, that's not so good. We can improve that. I know we can. I don't have all the answers, but I know we can do it, working together with people of good faith. And the teachers and the parents will be very supportive of that. And the third goal, continuous improvement in business operations, management practices, and parent-teacher collaboration. And that's just something we will do just because we care about this mission. So those are the three major goals. I've talked about the position. I've talked about the background. I've talked about why I'm doing it. And I've talked about my goals. And that's where I'm at. I'm done. Yes, this is the area, and my handwriting scribbles. I hope you can read it. But the north is bounded by Duval Mine Road, and then it goes over. This district goes over and includes Quail Creek, and then to the south of that, Madeira Highlands, and then goes all the way out to Madeira Canyon, if you can see that, and it goes down to just short of Elephant Head, so a couple miles south, and that's it. The majority of the students come from two areas. There's 650 of them. Many of them come from the apartments just south of Duval Mine and La Canada. There's like 3 apartment buildings up there, and from Madeira Highland. There's quite a few scattered around south too, Madeira Canyon and south near Elephant Head. They have buses that go everywhere. Very efficient.
Well, that's good information to have. Mike, your passion is admirable, really. I know you do a great job. There's no money in it. All you're trying to do is make a difference to make our school district better and our school system better. I was a teacher, so I know what you face. But I know when I was teaching, school boards weren't doing the things they're doing now in the country, like intimidation and demonstrations. What are some of the crazier things you've heard of that are going on in this area, maybe in the state, maybe in other states?
Well, people have been, radicals with red hats have been showing up at meetings, accusing school board members of radicalizing their kids, the students saying bad things about slavery and making them feel uncomfortable and like they're racist. They've been questioning censorship and books all over again. Of course, Florida has recently passed a law that says that the student or teachers can't even mention anything about gay or gender preferences. So it seems as if everywhere you turn, there's a lot of hostility and just a generation of fear regarding cultural issues. And it seems like the school boards in the schools, and I don't think this ever used to be, but in the last 4 or 5 years, it's become a weapon for political action.
Well, I can tell you that what teachers want is support from the school boards rather than them being the enemy. You know, it's and I'm sure you'll be a supporter of education in the best way you can. So, do we have any other questions? Senator Gabaldon, please.
Hi. Hello. Good afternoon. Hi. You know, you and I, Mike, have talked a little bit about this and your desire to run for this office, and I applaud you. I think anybody who runs for public office is admirable. But my question to you is in regards to a smaller school district that Continental is, how would you see more building relationships perhaps with other school districts, and how you would look at really building those bridges that are, I think, are needed, because this is my personal opinion, sir, and is that schools need to work together, teachers need to collaborate, because we learn from each other. So, you know, leading by example. So I was wondering if you could address that, sir. Thank you.
Well, that's a really good question. To be honest with you, I haven't thought of that. I've been just focused on just school and these particular issues. And certainly we can learn from others. I mean, I would, now that you mention it, it's definitely, as far as I know, that may be happening now. I don't know. I don't have good information because I'm not really part of the team right now. I'm kind of an outsider. That may be going on. That would be something I'd want to learn more about, but sure.
But if I may, sir, I'd like to just make a suggestion. Right now, I believe that Continental School District does have a partnership with Sahuarita Unified School District in regards to the finance. And also, so I would encourage you to go and maybe have a conversation with Dr. Valenzuela with SUSD Sahuarita Unified School District, because there is partnerships. And then the last thing I'd like to say is thank you very much for being part of the solution. Everything that you said regarding our state and being very anti-pro education is something that is very sad to see. But at the end of the day, we need individuals such as yourself to change our public education system. So thank you very much for this opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
We have a question from Green Valley Democrats, I think headquarters, or is it George?
That's me.
Okay.
Mike, you're very admirable and you're very brave. We thank you for stepping forth to do this, because this, I come from a family of teachers and I know this is a very difficult topic for them, especially in the teaching of history right now. The question I have for you is, in the future, would you please be willing to come back and let us know what we can do to support you and on things within the school district once you're elected, because we know you are going to be elected?
Well, thank you. And I hope so. And I'd be very, very, very happy to. The club has been so helpful. I mean, as you well know, it's where I got a lot of my signatures. That was great. So thank you. I definitely will.
Well, and I want to support Mike, as he was talking earlier, as we do have the Stop the Voucher expansion petitions at headquarters. Please come by and sign them. So,
and I'd like to add one more thing, if I may.
Please.
A thought for the day. Thank you, teacher.
That's true. That's true. And believe me, it's valuable. And we like Mike. Okay. So anybody else, if you do have a question for Mike, you can't think of it right now, ask later. I'm going to introduce Sanda Clark, who is going to run for state representative representing LD 19. And she has been very busy, and she's going to tell us about herself, her background, and what she intends to do.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm so honored to be part of this distinguished group of brave people running for protecting our democracy and our values. I think we're having some difficulty here for a moment. Okay, so I am running for LD 19, a seat in the House. Some parts, you know, for us in Green Valley, it is really difficult to imagine being unrepresented as Democrats, because we have had the privilege of being always part of LD2, which was heavily a Democratic district. And Senator Gabaldon was our representative, as was Daniel Hernandez and Andrea D'Alessandro. So it is kind of difficult for us to consider that we are now part of a district that's been created in a very strange way, designated to stay in Republican hands. Now, what is most incredible is that part of our new district is Cochise County hasn't had a Democratic voice representing them in over 20 years. And so I am running because I was not born in this country, and because I know what autocracy and fascism feels like, not what it looks like, what it feels like. my family fled Romania so I could come to this country. And those of you who know me, everyone said I cried for 40 years of what's happening to our country and how we insane Americans allowing this to happen. And so when this LD-19 became a reality, I was informed by the people in the know that there is no Democrat running for any position. So there are 3 opportunities to represent democracy, and nobody was running for it. Coming from Romania, where you don't have a choice, I could not stand it. It was, you know, like when you are in a car and it goes at 70 miles an hour, then you have to abruptly stop, you go forward. You can't stop yourself from doing that. Well, when the war in Ukraine happened, and considering there is no Democrat running for this race, I had to do it. I didn't ask my husband to do it. I didn't ask anybody. I remember on Wednesday morning, Lois saw me crying again with Sue Rowan. We always cry together. We are the criers of the group. And she said, if you really care that much about it, stop talking about it, stop crying, do something. So I decided that I'm going to do something, because it doesn't matter if I win or if I lose. What it matters to me is that we make a stand for our beliefs, that we don't run away just because they tell us we don't want you to be a participant. We do not take no for an answer. That if you have strong beliefs and you believe in this country, you got to stand up and be counted and let the chips fall where they may. So it is a very, I'm a little bit high today because I just drove back from Douglas, Arizona, where we had an amazing event last night. It was really one of the most hopeful events in my career as a politician thus far. And the reason is that this event was put together by Youth for Douglas, which is a bunch of young kids led by a 16-year-old girl, Jennifer, I'll not say her last name, and they are doing amazing things. And these are poor kids. Some of them go back and forth to Aqua Prieta every day because their families live there and they want to go to school and work in Douglas. They don't have a place in Douglas. They go home to their families who are across the border. That to me is just kind of sick. But that's the reality. They are not on drugs. They don't drink. They don't mess around. They are really focused on trying to make a difference and becoming somebody. So I was knocked out, really. The event was extremely well attended. Raquel Terran, who I didn't realize that she grew up in Douglas, she was present and her entire family came to support her. And those little kids were just incredible. They put an event that was so successful. And just to tell you a little bit about what they have accomplished in the last 3 weeks, they registered to vote 350 new voters. Now you match that. So as I said, the kids are our future, and I really believe in that. And I was so honored to be amongst them. I just cannot explain to you how hopeful that made me feel. So additionally, why I'm running? I'm running because I'm so sick and tired of the lies. I can't take it anymore. And I can't stand it that you've got people in office who have been in office for 20 years, who can go to sleep and not care that their people that they represent that put them into office are going to run out of water. Some of them already have run out of water and they sleep well at night. They don't have a problem. I have a problem because I don't think that that's right to keep electing people that produce nothing for us, the people, the majority. So as our country is descending more and more into minority rule, I know that one vote in Phoenix, even if I make it, it's not enough to make a difference. But what I'm hoping that a lot more like me are ready and sick and tired and are ready to shake things up because we need it. Otherwise, we are going to become at best a Hungary and at worst, the Philippines. And I don't mean to be negative or to be exaggerating. This is the reality. And I'm happy that Morning Joe Scarborough, being a retired politician of the Republican Party affiliation, is beginning to call his colleagues fascists, because that's what they are. A vote for a Republican today of this party is a vote for fascism and authoritarianism in America. I cannot stand it to contemplate such a future for us. I just can't stand it. And I'm going to, you know, if I don't make it, when I die, I'll have no regrets because at least I tried. So that's why I'm running. Now, my experiences on the campaign trail so far has been amazing. And just to tell you, yesterday from Douglas, we went to dinner to the Mexican restaurant, and there were a bunch of us Democrats talking about the water situation. The next table over, I didn't know anybody in Douglas, but joining us was Lucia, who is an institution in Douglas. And she said, you know, these people, he's a retired alfalfa grower. So, you know what party he belongs to. So they were listening to so as she was walking towards us, she came late. She stopped to say hello to the people because she knew them. And he said, they're Democrats over there. You should listen to what they are saying about the water. Said, not so fast, she said, I'll introduce you to one of them later. So as we finished dinner and we were walking out, she introduced me to the gentleman. I can say safely, I have got 2 Republicans that are going to vote for me this November. The reason being, he is a farmer, he's a rancher, but he has got he's the kind of rancher that used to exist in Southern Arizona. He has like 600 cattle, but the other farmers, the ranchers, they've got 60,000 cattle. And that's what's destroying our southern part of the state. So, and he's very unhappy with the present representation. And so we agreed on practically everything. We also agreed that a wonderful thing that could happen in the future is term limits. Somebody shouldn't be there for life, running in the same position or change position from Senate to the House to the Senate, and so on and so forth. So, you know, when you think about this disgusting mission that the Republican Party has now for us, to divide us, to make us suspicious of one another, be that in schools, that you are suspicious of your teacher, that your teacher is not allowed to say the word gay, that they are not allowed to talk about any sex education, that the kids need to report it to the parents report it to the school board. I mean, this is what the Legionnaires did in Romania. They were spying on the people, and they made one person to their next door neighbor be afraid of saying anything. Living in fear is one way of subjugating your people. When I came to America, I never locked my doors in Austin. It was the kind of freedom that my parents dreamt about. They never quite experienced it because they never lived here. But that's why I'm running. I want to preserve that freedom. And I want to bring decency, transparency, and honesty and accountability to Phoenix. And if I make it, I intend to shake things up. I don't want to talk across the border with Mr. Hoffman. I don't want to make him see my way because he can't. Those people, they need to be removed from office because they're insurrectionists and they are working against the government of the United States. And that is how democracy dies. When you've got a party that's trying to control what's happening to our lives and nobody gets punished for it. So I'm hoping to get your votes. You know that I'm passionate about this mission and I'm giving it my all. And so far it's been a real great experience. I've met incredible people that otherwise I would have never had the privilege of knowing. And I also developed a little family here. Those who are helping me a lot, they become like my family that I don't have other than Harry. So thank you.
Sanda, you did a great job. What we are looking for is an honest, passionate politician, and that's you. So
thank you.
Great. We need people like you. And Jeannie Buell has a question.
Well, I don't really have a question. I just want to say it's really an honor to work with this woman. I just want to say it's an honor to work with her. In my 40 years in politics, have never met a more passionate, honest person running for office. So I want to just thank her.
Well, I thank you, Jimmy.
Maureen, you have a question or a comment?
Yes, I have a comment, and that is that Sanda, the very thing that you are demonstrating now is exactly what we need in the legislature, and I have high hopes that you will get in there and you will not be cowed by any of those people. And I appreciate that, and I wish you all the best. God bless you.
Thank you, Maureen. And you know, I'll tell you one thing. Driving to to Douglas today, I was listening all the way on the way home to Radio Opera Bucharest, and that is to me a great blessing. You know, you can listen to whatever you want. You are not told what books to read. You are not told what stations to watch, and I'm hoping that now that OAN has been pushed off the air, I'm hoping very much that Newsmax and the other propaganda channels stop being allowed to function, because that's part of what's ruining our freedoms. Yeah. We need to put a stop to that.
You go, girl.
Thank you, Maureen. I'm trying to very hard, believe me.
Okay, Sanda, I have a couple of texts for you. Sanda, you're awesome. You like, that's a pretty good comment. Sanda, my 13-year-old just heard your voice and came down to see you speak. He gives you a big thumbs up. Our family adores you. That's from Lora Nastase.
Oh, thank you. Thank
okay.
you.
And
thank you, Lora.
I have to say that you have a different perspective, knowing what fascism is and having escaped it. We don't ever want that. Senator Gabaldon has a comment or question.
Thank you. Hey. Thank you, Paul. Hey, Sandas. I am so glad that you'll be joining me at the legislature. I'm looking.
I hope so.
I'm really looking forward to working with you. But you made a comment that I'd like to address, and one of the things is we as Democrats, we're very close to being the majority, and we have our voice. And your voice is going to be very powerful on the floor of the State House, because you come with passion, and you come with care, you come with integrity, and you come with humility. So I just wanted to say that you and I are going to work very well together at the legislature, and I'm just very proud of you. But I have one quick question. When you are elected, and you will be elected, you know, what do you think would be the first bill you would like to introduce? Have you any thought on that?
I have thought on that a lot. And the first bill that I want to introduce is to make sure, you know, a little bit depends who is our next governor and who is the Secretary of the State. But I'm really concerned that maniacs like Mr. Hoffman would be allowed to say, well, this is a fake election, fake answers, and nothing happens to him. He's a money launderer. He suffers no consequences. And he said, this is the wrong answers. I don't like them, and change it. So I need to work. For me, you know, there are three key issues. I mean, I want to work on making sure that people don't run out of water, because, you know, I'm also passionate about death with dignity. And so one way that you can definitely die is if you stop drinking, right? We know that. So I don't want to run out of water, because I don't want people to die. Don't want Southern Arizona and LD19 to become uninhabitable as it's projected. So water is very important to really take control of what's happening. But the other thing that's very, very important to me as an immigrant, as a person that's become who I am today because of this country, I want to take care of the DACA kids. I am so sick of it, because I remember when Luis Gutierrez came with Raul to Tucson, remember? And he encouraged them to come out of the dark shadows, come out, sign up for it. You are going to get a path to citizenship. That was during Obama years. It's been 10 years, these kids are waiting. And I am sick of them waiting. It's time to do something meaningful for them. See, I want to be surrounded by politicians who have the guts to put, you know, I'm sorry to say, but Liz Cheney is an example for me. She had the guts to sacrifice maybe her career temporarily in order to make sure that this country doesn't become Russia or another satellite of Russian Republic. That's the kind of politicians that I really admire. People who have got the guts to put what matters ahead of their own private re-election campaign or re-election for office or making more money on the side. I want you know, I want accountability, transparency, and I want decency. If you run for office to represent the people, work for the people. Don't work for the special interest groups, really. And I have to say this, people who are owned by special interest group is not only Republicans. They've got plenty of Democrats who have gone that way. And it's time to stop it. And I know that most people don't believe that a passionate, liberal, you know, Democrat has a chance to win in Southern Arizona. I hope I can prove them wrong, because the passion in the Democratic wing of America comes from us who are progressives, who really believe in honesty, decency, and making a difference, not those who are, you know, belong to Wall Street on the side and, you know, trade their stocks, you know, that they know what bill is coming up next and they buy stock or sell it. I mean, it's time, we are either going to make it or we are going to really die. It's not going to be the same country. And this election, if we lose control of the Senate and of the House, we are dead. It doesn't matter, because you are going to have a Supreme Court that's going to decide that you are going to become a theocracy. And get ready to use burqas, ladies. I mean, that's what's happening in this country. They want us to go back.
Right, right.
So I'm very happy that they're going to codify same-sex marriage, to make it into a law, and then next you need to go on for all. That's it.
Okay, well, you must really like Adam Kinzinger and Cheney. Those two are
I do.
Incredible, they're incredible. I have a comment for you. I'm so proud of Sanda. Telling her story is the best way to campaign. No one else has that story, and no one is more passionate. That's from Nancy. Go ahead.
I just want to make a comment. When you get elected, Sanda, you said you'd be the lone Democrat and you didn't think that you could make a change. But I think if anybody can make a change, it's you. You're very persuasive and you're very clear, and you got two Republicans to vote for you in Douglas.
Yes, that's right.
You can do anything.
That's right.
And I do believe that one person can make a difference. And that's all I wanted to say.
All right, are any other questions? Let's give people a chance. Any other questions for anybody before, George, how much time do we have, do you think?
I have a question for Sanda. LD19 is a very rural area. It's
Yes.
The economy has been based on ranching and mining for years.
Yes.
And they speak a different language than we do even in Green Valley. How do you talk to people to let them know what you can do to make their lives better in LD19?
How do I talk to them? Honestly. I talk to them very honestly and tell them, you know, I learned a lot, for example, in Douglas. You know, there are a lot of people in Douglas believe in vouchers, okay? Because the quality of public education there is so terrible. So what I explained to them, I said, the reason that the quality of education in Douglas is so pathetic is because we don't value our teachers, we don't pay our teachers. A garbage collector in New York makes more money than a teacher in Arizona. That is sick. I mean, you know, a teacher inspires kids, opens their minds and their hearts and allows them to dream. And once they dream, they can accomplish. So I understand that right now that there are some charter schools that are pretty good, but by and large, I pay taxes because I want to have a wonderful public education. And public education is the cornerstone of a decent and wonderful society. You cannot, you know, part of the, by the way, I don't know how many of you have heard of it, but Putin, his latest move in Ukraine is to take Russian teachers to teach in the areas where they captured, because they want to brainwash kids to think, not to teach them how to think, but to tell them what to think. Exactly. Okay, so you know, you cannot tell people you come from completely different, make them see your way. You have to explain to them why it is the way it is, because they're not dumb. They know what's happening. But I'm hoping to inspire them is to expect better, to make demands, because it is incomprehensible to me that Your quality of education belongs to whichever zip code you live in. Who has heard of such a thing? Who can tolerate that? That is just not acceptable to me. But you know, we have been beaten down now, and I marvel at the patience that the American society has. Endless patience. I'm impatient. I don't have that kind of patience. And you know, so they just have learned to accept that it is that way, and that's what we have to deal with. No, they have to rebel and they have to demand what it's their due, what they really deserve. They've worked for it, they deserve it. It's like the Republican Party now, they would like to do away with our Social Security because they see it as an entitlement, and do away with Medicare. We paid into this. It's not an entitlement. They've used our money for all these years that we are coming to collect. So, you know, I think educating them, talking to them, and empowering them to believe that they are entitled to it's one way to make a difference. And I do understand that, you know, this is a very, very large district with different needs in different parts, but ultimately we all want the same thing. We want the quality of life. We want to feel safe. We want to have good roads to drive in, and we want to be treated with respect. And so I don't think that we are so different. What is the difference is that elected officials now, they are not beholden to the people, they are beholden to those who put them into office. I'm running clean. As a pain in the ass as running clean is, and believe me, it is. And Lois will tell you, and Karen will tell you, and Angie will tell you, because they help you with, you know, sorting all kinds of things all the time. I think it's the only way to level the field. Take out any money. Everybody should run clean. They should have 3 months to run, and everybody should have access to the same amount of money, period. Then you wouldn't have to, once get into office, have to repay debts to those who gave you a lot of money.
All right.
So I believe that would be one way to improve the quality of life in America. Honesty
is a rare thing, and we need it. We need a lot of it. And thank you for expressing that honesty to us today and your passion. It's great. So George, you have.
Thank you.
We'll just wrap it up here. I want to thank all three of our candidates for being here. There is one thing they all have in common, and that's the passion to get elected. So we need to do our next step, and that's to get out and vote. So make sure that happens if you've not done so already. If you have questions about your ballot, please come by headquarters. Our staff is well trained in answering questions. Also, bring by your items we help to collect for the schools. Also, stop in and sign the petitions. We need to get those voucher expansions stopped. And remember, vote Democrat all the way up and down your ballot. Paul, anything else you have?
No, just the pleasure of having our people on today. We know them all, and they were impressive, and we really enjoyed it. I think everybody is going to enjoy this who sees it.
Thank you. Have a safe week.
Thank you. You too. Thank everybody.